Well, more questions emerging today about possible warning signs that the suspected gunman left on social media. An FBI official acknowledged that the Bureau was warned in an ominous online comment left on a YouTube video stating, quote, "I'm going to become a professional school shooter." However, after investigations into the database, the agency claims that they were unable to locate the user behind the comment. Now, tonight, we know that the username linked to this comment back in September shares the same name as Nicholas Cruz, who was the 19-year-old suspected killer. So again, we're going to revisit the notion, what could the FBI have done, and perhaps did they drop the ball? With us now, Bill Gavin, former Assistant FBI Director in New York, along with Gary Margolis, CEO and founder of Social Sentinel, and former Chief of Police at the University of Vermont. Bill, you were on the show last night as the developments were just being unpacked. We've had a little bit more time to look into this. Can you assess for us what the FBI did and what they might have been able to do that could have maybe alleviated the situation?
Charles, I think that, I've heard other guests say that what they would have done, they would have turned their manpower out and done X, Y, and Z. They're not sure that the FBI really didn't do that. I heard the special agent in charge of the FBI in Miami say today when they got the complaint, they went to the office in Jackson, Mississippi, and interviewed that individual, that the social media took that posting down immediately. They also said that they did the natural checks that they do and other investigation which had no ties at all to South Florida. I don't mean to be defensive, but I think that it might be a little bit early in the game to brand incompetence with any group or with any individuals at this point.
And particularly law enforcement. We always give them the benefit of the doubt, but the questions are being raised. And Gary, you've got experience on both sides of this, right, as a law enforcement person, but also now in the private sector dealing with these social networks. And I think what people are saying is that, hey, if you get this name, Nicholas Cruz, do a general social media search, and maybe some of these disturbing photographs and other things might have popped up.
Yeah, certainly. Well, first of all, as a parent of two teenagers and a 20-year law enforcement veteran, my heart's breaking right now, and my thoughts and prayers do go out to the victims and the families and the first responders in the community. Look, social media has become the preferred channel of communication for a generation. Our students and our youth are sharing their deepest fears and their greatest hopes on social media. In this particular instance, it appears that we have a young man who was posting homicidal ideations. It's the exact reason why we founded Social Sentinel, to be able to scan the social media and look for those indicators. Certainly, the comments and the language.
Let me ask you, jump in here for a moment, Gary. If there was someone that posted those comments on the internet somewhere, they want to become a school shooter, what would you have done? What would Social Sentinel have done with that information?
Well, if it was published on public social media and it triggered an alert, our system would have sent an alert to a customer and indicating that there is a potential for harm here. This person may need some closer scrutiny. And then it would be up to the school officials in this case, or in a school-based case, to then do their own follow-up to understand through their own behavioral threat assessment processes. But we would provide that level of insight to what was being shared on social media.
Sure. Bill, I know that we expect a lot from the FBI. I Googled FBI drops the ball, and I got a litany of things going back to Pearl Harbor, of all things. But, now that we're looking ahead and we do want to find solutions to this, what are some of the thoughts that you have initially, and this is not, of course, the first time we've talked about this, to perhaps make it better or have a tweak best practices and procedures?
I wish I had the magic bullet on this one, and that's probably a bad analogy, but I wish I had some sort of a magic response for it, but I don't. The bottom line is we need to be more attuned first of all, in our schools. I think that educators, teachers, and students need to go through a terrific training program that will give them the ability to do what the kids already knew in that school. They already knew who this kid was and what he was going to do. It would give them the ability to talk and to maybe have somebody act on it quicker than it happened before the tragedy today. Those are some things. And we also have to do something about some legislation that will get to the basis of this problem with reduced mental capacity.
Right.
Some people have reduced mental capacity, Charles, but other people are just plain evil. And we have to, take a stand someplace in our lives and decide, while it might be uncomfortable and while civil libertarians might not be in tune with it, we might have to sit down and take a stance and argue this thing out and get the right thing done for the American people.
Tonight, the teenage gunman who has destroyed so many lives here